One of the other stories, of course, we can't ignore this morning is the continued unrest in the Middle East and also its implications for market trade or not, as the case may be. Yousef is in Cairo this morning, where, of course, the market has been closed for a considerable length of time. Yousef.
Well, Jeff, the market has been closed since January 27th when it dropped more than 10%. Let me give you a quick idea as to how the situation is in Cairo at the moment. You see here at the back, this is the 6th of October bridge, which is one of the main arteries of the city and where a lot of the street clashes took place in the last few weeks in the height of the unrest. Now it has calmed down, obviously. There's still pockets of protesters in front of the Egyptian television building yesterday, but the military, we understand, has moved in and cleared those protesters earlier in the day. Of course, the stock exchange remains closed. I was there, 2 tanks stand in front of it. It's very, very quiet, and it's not really clear at the moment when it will reopen. The debate continues, not just as to when it should reopen, but also how it should reopen. All the smaller protesters are worried that they would suffer the brunt of the losses. The regulators have moved on that and created a fund to support the market if it falls when it resumes trade, and also relax some of the regulation on margin calls. Finance Minister yesterday told me that the market would reopen perhaps by mid next week. Other sources said maybe by the end of the week. What is clear that they have delayed a lot of the plans for the reopening. Also in light of threats that we understand and we're getting from a source that even some of the protesters threatened to torch the Egyptian stock exchange should the demands not be met. I spoke to the Minister of Finance and here's what he had to say.
Well, we have been trying to help create the favorable climate for the opening of the stock exchange, because you see, for all of us this is extremely important, but as you may realize, these are very unsettled and unsettling times, but we are getting close to a reopening in the sense that we are trying to ensure sufficient demand so that when the stock exchange opens, there will not be a strong crash. We expect a landing, but we want it to be a soft landing, and that's why we want to put everything in place before reopening, but I hope by mid next week we will be functioning.
The GDP growth rate for 2010-2011 is expected to fall to 3% after initial forecasts were at 5.8%. How conservative an assessment is that? Could it get any worse?
It can. It all depends on the situation here. If these closures and demonstrations, mainly by the factions of the public service, if these continue for a longer time, of course, that's a stoppage of production, disruption of export-import. The tourist sector is not functioning. It's maximum at 20% now. Maximum at 20%. So all this adds up, you see.
Yeah. Commodity prices are up. Your subsidy bill is getting higher. How sustainable is that, given the country's budget deficit?
No, what it means really is that you are absolutely right. It means further erosion of the financial space we have on the budget, because that's a substantial sum. But here again, I think we have tremendous expression of goodwill on the part of the development partners abroad. They all want to help. They all want to chip in. And even, as far as, say, tourism is concerned, different ambassadors tell me as soon as the situation is calm in the streets, we will we will do away with the embargo on their citizens traveling to Egypt.
The credit rating agencies are demanding a successful political transition to avoid further downgrades. Are you concerned about that?
It has always been a concern, and I think, frankly speaking, you cannot match the speed at which political transition has been happening. Do you realize today we are 43 days since the beginning of the revolution? I mean, this is unprecedented. unprecedented pace of change. We have changed the president, the parties, the parliament, and the military. When we meet the higher command council, they are adamant not to stay a day longer than necessary.
On several occasions in the past, you've called on the EU to forgive Egyptian debt. What's your position on that now?
My position is the same. In the past we had a very good experience of debt swap. That's changing the debt into Egyptian money, which is spent on development projects, which we badly need now. Everybody expresses the goodwill, but as a Minister of Finance, I believe it when I see a check coming in.
Let me just pick up as well on the latest political development. A referendum is planned for Saturday on constitutional reforms and amendments. It's going to be a simple yay or nay vote. And analysts are making it clear that it's a very important step for Egypt and perhaps the first real democratic vote in its history.